Hey, what's going on guys, Xrathis here, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm bringing you an up-to-date 9.1.5 Affliction Warlock PvP guide, and we're jumping straight into it, and I'm going to be talking to you about the talents first, and then I'll obviously jump into the PvP talents, and obviously everything else. So level 15, you have a choice of Nightfall, Inevitable Demise, and Drained Soul. Always choose Inevitable Demise here. In my opinion, it's the best out of the three. Works so nicely in PvP, providing you don't get kicked. But it's just really good in general, because if you don't know what this talent does, each time your agony does damage to the enemy, it actually empowers your next drain life damage by 15%, and this stacks up to 50 times. If you're Night Fae, this is so good because you have the ability called Soul Rot. Basically, what Soul Rot does, it puts like a dot on the enemy, right, and it allows you to drain soul from multiple targets, which is insane. So instead of your drain life, like being able to only use drain life on one target, you can actually use it on multiple. So it's really strong, and obviously if you play Inevitable Demise, it means you're going to be dealing stronger drain life damage to multiple targets if you're Night Fae, which is insane. But if you're not Night Fae like me, it's still really solid, and that's why I would choose that. And then level 25 talents, you have a choice of Wrath and Agony, Absolute Corruption, and Siphon Life. Here I always pick Absolute Corruption. I think it's the best one out of the three. You maybe could play Siphon Life if you need the healing, but in my opinion, it's a choice between Wrath and Agony and Absolute Corruption. If you don't know what Absolute Corruption does, it basically allows your corruption to deal 15% increased damage, and the duration is reduced to 24 seconds against players. So it's actually pretty solid, and it pairs really nicely with this legendary called Sacrilash's Dark Strike, which I obviously run. And if you don't know what this legendary does, corruption damage is increased by 25%, and each time it deals damage, any of your curses active on the target, so Curse of Weakness, Curse of Exhaustion, Curse of Tongues, etc., are extended by 1.6 seconds. So it's actually really strong. So basically, this legendary paired with Absolute Corruption just makes corruption deal an absurd amount of damage. So it's actually really good, especially in like RBGs, in regular battlegrounds, you know, arena, etc. It's really strong. I have seen some people use Wrath and Agony, but I don't play it. This is kind of like my PvP build I always play now. But just in general, Wrath and Agony, I don't like it anymore, if I'm completely honest. I used to play this like in BFA, as I recall, but haven't really played it in Shadowlands because I feel like Absolute Corruption is just so strong right now. But basically what Wrath and Agony does is Agony's damage starts at 4 stacks and now go up to 18 stacks instead of 15. So it is solid, don't get me wrong, but obviously you've got to be aware that your dots and everything can be dispelled. So I just prefer Absolute Corruption, especially when paired with Sacrilash's Dark Strike, because that's kind of like the main legendary that you want to be playing anyway, but I'll talk about that later. Level 30 talents, you have a choice of Demon Skin, Burning Rush, and Dark Pact. Now, I've always played Demon Skin, right? In Shadowlands and everything, I've always picked Demon Skin. It's just so strong. It allows your Soul Leech absorption rate to you know, just be stronger, because obviously instead of absorbing up to 10% of your maximum health, it now absorbs up to 15%, which is insane. However, I have recently swapped to Dark Pact. It is very strong right now. I uploaded a video the other day where I played it in a battleground as Destruction, and it was absolutely ridiculous. It just, basically what this does, minute cooldown, you can use the shield when you're suffering from CC effects, which is insane. So you can basically negate a load of cooldowns, which is awesome. It sacrifices 20% of your current health to shield you up to 250% of the sacrificed health, plus an additional 8.5k for 20 seconds, or 8,505. Let me just put this, like do a demonstration. You can actually use Shadow Word Bulwark, or whatever it's called, right? Shadow Bulwark, sorry. If I sacrifice my Void Walk here, right? Use Shadow Bulwark. That's going to increase my HP to 74,446. If I use the shield now, I get a 64,165 shield, right? But that's only if you have, you know, if you sacrifice your Void Walker, which you probably won't in most circumstances, right? So the shield's going to be around like 55k or something like that, which is still insane. That's every minute, by the way. If you are Necrolord as well, you have Fleshcraft. Use Fleshcraft, right? That's an additional 32,142 shield. Absolutely insane. So you can negate a load of burst damage right now, because obviously the meta is so fast-paced. The warriors on you, right? If they're Kieran as well, they put their spear down, you die so quick. But Dark Pact just allows you to say, you know what? It's just going to basically increase your survivability, and it's going to allow you to use this when you're suffering from CC effects, and it's just good because you can be like, all right, I know this warrior's pop burst now. I'm just going to press this. I should be fine. I shouldn't die here. And it's just going to allow you to be more tanky. So if you're Night Fae or something, this would be very, very useful, because obviously Night Fae, they have Soul Shape, allows you to, you know, move around a lot faster and everything. Just, you know, increase that distance between like you and the enemy player, which is awesome. And obviously if you play Dark Pact, it gives you an extra layer of survivability, which is insane. But if you're Necrolord, right, you have Fleshcraft and Dark Pact, which is ridiculous. So if I do the shield now, without sacrificing my pet, I'll sacrifice my Voidwalker, I have a 52,112 damage shield. Well, you know what I mean, absorption shield. So actually really insane. Level 35 talents, you have Soda Seeds, Phantom Singularity, and Vile Taint. Always pick Phantom Singularity here. It's the best one. Just gives you healing based on your dots and everything. So it's really solid, and it does quite a lot of damage too. So that's why I like playing it. I wouldn't pick any others if I'm completely honest. Level 40 talent, you have Dark Fury, Mortal Coil, and Howl of Terror. Pretty simple here. If you want the healing, go Mortal Coil. So basically allows you to incapacitate one target for 3 seconds and heals you for 20% of your maximum health. Really good as Destruction, because you have Havoc, but this is an Affliction Warlock guide. Howl of Terror, the way I see it, is if you want to get instant CC, obviously Mortal Coil does provide that. But if you want instant CC on multiple targets, say a BM Hunter's on you and they have pets, right? Or if a Demonology Warlock has their pets on you, you can literally just Howl of Terror all those pets and it'd be great. However, warriors can get out this and everything like that because they have Berserker Rage, so you just got to obviously be wary of that. And it can DR with Fear, so it's up to you. 40-second cooldown too. If you really need the healing, Mortal Coil's there. If you don't really need the healing and want instant CC on multiple targets, Howl of Terror is definitely for you. Level 45 talents, you have Shadow Embrace, Haunt, and Grim Elf Sacrifice. Always picks Grim Elf Sacrifice here. It's just so strong. You don't really need your pet out nowadays anyway. If you do like having your pet out, then I'd pick Haunt just for the 10% increased damage to that target. And obviously, if you're Necrolord as well, you have access to Kevin's Oozling, which is an additional 6% like damage increase. You know, that you can deal to that target, which is obviously really insane. So they pair up really nicely with each other. And I guess, you know, if you play the, where is it? I have another legendary in my bag, but I can't seem to, there it is. And Vision of Demonic Synergy legendary. If you play this too, and you have a pet out, then that's an additional 10, well, you can actually use it if you play Sacrifice, but that's an additional 10% increased damage to that target. So there could be some theory crafting with Haunt, but I think Grim Elf Sacrifice is just so strong right now. It is so good, just allows you to deal a load of damage, especially like AoE damage as well. So I would always pick this, just allows you to do an absurd amount of damage. Level 50 talents, you have Soul Conduit, Creeping Death, and Dark Soul Misery. Always pick Dark Soul Misery here for the haste. Haste is the main stat you want to be going, in my opinion, but some people could argue that versatility is the main stat, and I wouldn't disagree with you. This is just the build that I like playing, so Dark Soul is always the way to go here. Just allows you to get consistent damage out, like burst damage. In my opinion, it's just so strong right now because, you know, more haste. If you can get your hands on more haste, right, your Agony is going to, like, be able to generate you more soul shards and everything like that, which is insane. Your corruption damage is going to be absurd, especially if you play absolute corruption and Sacrilegious Dark Strike. And just in general, you're going to be able to get more soul shards, so you can spend it on Malphite Rapture and deal a load of damage. So it's really good right now. Moving on to PvP talents, I will showcase the PvP talents that I play and maybe give some honorable mentions. So right now, Rampant Afflictions is very strong. If you don't know, if you don't play Rampant Afflictions, you can only use Unstable Affliction on one target. And if you're in Arena or something, Unstable Afflictions actually really, really strong because if it's dispelled or anything, it's very punishing for the enemy team. So the fact that you can have 3 Unstable Afflictions out at a time when you play this PvP talent is insane because you're going to be dealing more damage, right? And the enemy will most likely try and dispel their team. So therefore, it's just going to be very punishing for the enemy, and you're going to be able to put pressure that much better onto the enemy, right? So it's really strong right now. Rapid Contagion is another solid choice. What this does basically, for the next 20 seconds, all of your damage over time effects, so your dots, occur 33% more often. I was speaking about, haste and everything. More haste means, more damage output because your dots are going to tick faster and everything, so it's really nice. More soul shards, therefore, being able to spend on Malfic Rapture is awesome. But what this does, right, is it just pairs really nicely with haste and everything, because 30-second cooldown, costs 3 soul shards, which does suck, but for the next 20 seconds, literally, your dots are going to tick even more. So it just allows you to get so much more soul shards back, and it allows you to deal a load of damage, so really strong option right now. Demon Armor, the way I see it with this is if you want to be more tanky, use Demon Armor, really good against melee and everything, but it, basically what this does is increase your maximum health by 10% and increases your armor by 220%. You can swap this out if you go against like casters and everything like that, say if you're in arena or something, or if you're in RBGs and you don't see yourself being hit by melee much or something, right? You could instead like choose Nether Ward, for example, which is a very good option, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So it's up to you what you want to do here. Demon Armor is a really strong option for survivability, especially when against melee, but you can swap it out when needs be. So I have some choices here, like Nether Ward, for example, right? I think it's really strong. It can be purged, so you just got to be careful when using Nether Ward. Usually, say if I'm in like an arena or something, or say if I went into like a battleground, I may potentially swap Demon Armor out for Nether Ward, just so I can control like the situation. Say if a mage is polymorphing me, I can use Nether Ward as the poly is about to go off and reflect the poly back at the enemy. Just, say if I'm low health or something, or I don't know, right? Just situationally, this is really, really nice. If a Warlock's using Chaos Bolt on me, right, a Destro Lock, I use it just as the Chaos Bolt's about to go off, and then I would use Nether Ward, and then it will reflect the Chaos Bolt back at the Warlock. So it's actually really nice. It just allows you to control the situation in a sense, and I think it's really strong. But like I said, it can be purged, it can be spell stolen, and everything like that. So just be wary. Use it as the ability's just about to go off, because they could just stop casting if you don't do that, and then just take the shield off you. So it's up to you, but I think it's a really, really strong option. Other ones, I guess Amplified Curse is actually pretty strong. It basically just increases your curses. So right now, right, if I just go through this, Curse of Exhaustion, which is your slow, reduces the target's movement speed by 50%. While actually, if you play Amplified Curse, your next Curse of Exhaustion is going to actually reduce the target's movement speed by 70% instead of 50%. So it just boosts that up a little bit. Curse of Tongues, again, will be 70% because it's currently a 30%, curse. So it's going to be, it amplify that to 70. And then obviously you have Curse of Weakness, where the enemy is unable to critically strike you. Again, say if like a Kyrian warrior is on you or something, right? You can use it when they put their spear down or something, and then you should be fine, especially if you press Dark Pact 2. So there's stuff you could obviously play. Wow, there's situations where you could play this, but I think it's really strong. Shadow Rift, definitely my favorite PvP talent out of them all here. It's just so much fun, in RBGs especially, right? You run around, put your demonic circle down, and then you can like Howl of Terror into a Shadow Rift. If they don't trinket or something, they could potentially, like their whole team could potentially go flying off of a map, and you could control the situation. Really nice for it in like Eye of the Storm, for example, right? Just pull it on a little ledge down by middle where the flag is, and then just get a good setup. Shadow Rift down, the whole enemy team is going to be flying off the map. I've posted videos on this. It's absolutely amazing. Now, Death Bolt. Now, I wanted to leave this last because, well, kind of last, I guess, because I've seen a lot of people play this in Arena. They usually play this when you are with like a Shadow Priest or something, because the Shadow Priest can PI you, so you get more haste. Then if you pop all of your burst, and if the enemy, dispels your A or something, right, it's going to be punishing for them. And basically, you can just use Death Bolt on any target you want, really. It all depends. You've got to get a good setup with Death Bolt, because it can hit like a wet noodle at times. It's very unreliable in my opinion. But if you have all your dots out at the time, you pop your burst and everything, you get PI, and you Death Bolt, you do have a chance to literally one-shot somebody. So it's actually pretty solid, I'm not going to lie. It's just like a 50-50 chance of it actually doing good damage in my opinion. It's up to you. 30-second cooldown. It can do really well. I've seen people one-shot people with Death Bolt, but in my opinion, when I've used it, it's always unreliable, but it's up to you. So if I move on to the stat priority, guys, in my opinion, I like going haste, versatility, mastery, critical strike. I just like haste just so your dots can tick faster and everything, generate more soul shards and everything like that. For me, it's just what I've always gone. I prefer it. Now, people would argue that it goes versatility, haste, mastery, critical strike, because right now we have a 2-set bonus in PvP for our trinkets where your versatility is increased by 40% if you have obviously 2 PvP trinkets on at the same time, and this is if you're obviously in PvP. So obviously if you don't know what versatility does, right, it allows you to deal more damage and healing, and it also decreases the amount of damage you take by half of that amount. So if you have 28.80% like I do here, you're actually going to take 14.40% less damage, which is very, very strong. So it's up to you what you want to go. This is my PvP build that I like going. I prefer haste, versatility, mastery, and critical strike. But the meta is so fast-paced right now. There's a ton of burst damage, so you might want to stack versatility, but it's up to you. And then, you know, if you if I do like enchants as well, with this and everything, right, I usually have 20 stamina and minor speed increase on my back. I think that is just a good one to have, especially if you're Night Fae as well, right? You can soul shape around, get a load of movement speed, it's actually good, and then you have the stamina to make you a little bit tanky. I just use this one. You could get like the 30 stamina one, as I recall. I think it's a 30 stamina one. If I go here, yep, it is, but I just think like the movement speed is pretty solid. If you play Demonic Momentum 2, it could work out, so completely up to you. On my chest, wait, is there a chest enchant that's normally there, right? There is, right? Yes, I just completely forgot to enchant my chest. Wow, that is very awkward. I always go sacred stats here, just for the increase in primary stat. I think that's actually pretty solid. Sorry about that, I didn't realize. On braces, I got 15 intellect, and then on the rings, I enchant haste because I really like haste, and then obviously on my weapon, I have celestial guidance. Primary stat is so good, that's why I play it. But if I move on to legendary powers now, guys, I will quickly showcase the legendary that I think is very, very nice for Affliction, and that is, in fact, Sacrilegious Dark Strike, like I mentioned earlier. It's just so strong because it just empowers your corruption damage, you know, it just allows you to deal so much more damage with your corruption. If people stacked up, right, you can use Seed of Corruption, and just be able to do a ton of damage is obviously very, very nice. And obviously, like I said though, each time corruption does damage, any of your curses that are active, right, you can have multiple curses out at a time, right, they're extended by 1.6 seconds, so it's actually solid. And if you have a load of haste too, it's just going to work out very, very nicely in my opinion. So it's really nice, and it saves you a global too, right, because if you want to use a curse on the target, you don't have to keep using curses on the target anymore, because you're able, like, your corruption is able to do that for you, like extend the duration on the curses. Does that make sense? Kind of butchered it there, but it just saves you globals and stuff because you don't have to keep pressing your curses unless you want to swap certain curses on the target and everything. So really nice, but there are other options you could run too. If you on Night Fae, I keep talking about Night Fae a lot because I think, in my opinion, Night Fae is the best covenant to go. And then, well, depending, right? And if you want extra survivability, Necrolord's good too, but I'll talk about that later. But Decaying Soul Satchel, I can see this being really strong in PvP. Basically, what this does, it only is for Night Fae though. If you use your Soul Rot, which you use a lot, right? It increases your haste and critical strike chance by 5% for 8 seconds. I could see this actually being really, really solid in PvP and everything. However, I do think that the best option overall is still probably going to be Sacrilegious Dark Strike, because it's just so strong right now. And then you could potentially play Relic of Demonic Synergy for that 10% increased damage on you, because if you don't have a pet, you get the buff, right? If you have a pet out, it's a chance of you getting the buff or your pet. But if you play Sacrifice, you don't have a pet, so you have the buff. So it's actually pretty solid. You don't have the buff forever. You just got to wait for the buff to roll in, and then obviously do your burst and everything like that. So it's up to you. There's others, right? Pillars of Dark Portal you could use just for the instant gateway and the 2 charges and everything like that before the cooldown is obviously comes up. If you pass if you use the gateway and you pass through an enemy, it knocks them away. You could use Cephuse for the reduction in CC effects by 10%, like the effectiveness and the secondary stats. But in my opinion, I think it's always Sacrilegious Dark Strike, and maybe, just maybe, if you're Night Fae, you could try out Decaying Soul Satchel. But guys, I'm going to go to my Covenant Sanctum right now, and then I'll talk to you about Covenants and, you know, Soulbinds and everything like that. So I will see you there. Alright guys, I'm in my Covenant Sanctum right now, and I want to talk to you about Covenants. Now, I'm going to just go through this really quick. I've kind of mentioned it already in this video, right? In my opinion, the best Covenant right now is Night Fae. The only reason why I'm Necrolord is because when I chose my Covenant right at the beginning of Shadowlands and everything, when I hit 60 and all that, is because I thought Necrolord kind of fit like the lore of Warlocks and everything. I just liked the lore of Necrolords, and the cosmetics looked cool and everything. But don't forget, right now, right, you can go to Oribos and you can buy like a thing from the vendor that allows you to reach Renown 40, so you can kind of just switch Covenants freely and start at level 40 and everything. So it's actually solid. You can change Covenants, like, it's so free now, so it's really good in a sense, right? Because you can just change Covenants when you want, and it doesn't feel like much of a grind. So just remember that. But right now, Night Fae, I think Soul Rot is just insane. Just pairing it up with Inevitable Demise is just so strong. I just really like Necrolord, in my opinion, because you have Fleshcraft, just makes you be able to survive a lot longer in PvP. If you play with Plague Deviser Marileth as your Soulbind, you have Ultimate Form. While you channel Fleshcraft, you are immune to crowd control effects, and you regenerate 2% health every 1 second. If you finish the full channel, right, you gain 3 seconds of crowd control immunity, during which you regenerate 2% health every 1 second. Absolutely insane. Then you also have access to Kevin's Oozling. Basically, every time you use Decimating Bolt, you summon Kevin's Oozling that fights alongside you for 15 seconds. His attacks cause enemies to take 6% additional damage from you, and he periodically grants your allies an Absorption Shield that absorbs 222% damage. So you mainly have this, well, you always have to have this anyway if you're the correct renown and everything, but it's really strong because you get a 6% damage increase basically. So really good in my opinion, and obviously Decimating Bolt is on a 45-second cooldown, so it is very, very strong. But obviously it changes when you use Decimating Bolt in a sense, because Decimating Bolt hits harder when the target's low HP, but essentially you want to use Decimating Bolt with your burst. It's kind of weird. It is kind of awkward to press Decimating Bolt in my opinion, but at the same time I think it's very, very strong. Night Fae is just the best overall one if you want raw damage output, and Soul Shape as well, right? You're able to get around so fast. It is so good, and it's really nice in my opinion. Soul Shape and Soul Rot is just really, really nice and everything like that. But I chose Necrolord purely for like the lore and cosmetics, but now you can just use like any cosmetic from any Covenant, so it doesn't really matter. So I could swap to Night Fae, but I probably won't. I do like Fleshcraft, and I do like Decimating Bolt, especially as demo as well, but I main Affliction, and I really like it. So I'm going to move on to obviously my Conduits now and everything like that. So I'll quickly go through those. I will start off with the Endurance Conduits, then moving on to Finesse, and then moving on to Potency. I just want to note my Conduits may be a different item level to yours, so the percentage or the amount of seconds, etc. are probably going to be different. So I will kind of give 3 of each, if that makes sense. So I say 3 Endurance Conduits, then Finesse, and then Potency, but you might not need 3 anyway. You probably need 2, depending on what obviously type of conduit it is. So first of all, I really like playing Resolute Barrier. I think it's so strong right now. So if you don't know what this does, is attacks received that deal at least 5% of your health decrease unending resolves cooldown by 10 seconds cannot occur more than every 22 seconds. Just really nice to have, allows you to get your unending resolve out a lot sooner, like a lot quicker. So really, really strong. I would always play this in all circumstances. And then the other Endurance Conduit that I really like is Accured Vitality. Drain life heals for 76%. Of the amount drained over 8.1 second. If you're Night Fae 2, don't forget you have Soul Rot. Very, very nice. It just allows you to get more healing and everything, and I really like this. So it's really nice in my opinion. So that's why I would play that. Another one, I guess you could use Diabolic Bloodstone in like RBGs, but at the same time I don't think it'd be that good because you only can use Health Stone. like once, unless you drop combat, then obviously the cooldown resets, as I recall. So I don't think the leech would be that good from Diabolic Bloodstone. So if I gave a third choice, it would probably be Condensed Animosphere, just because what this does is when you take any damage, heal for 4.2% of your maximum health. This can only occur every 10 seconds. Quite strong, right? But I think the main two you want are Resolute Barrier and Accured Vitality. If I move on to Finesse Conduits, I always play Shade of Terror. I really like this one because basically what this does, your fear effects can withstand 140% more damage before breaking. Really nice in PvP because if you're with a teammate or something and say you dotted up a target or something and you fear the enemy, it just allows your fear not to break as much, right? Essentially, that's what it does. Or if your teammate accidentally attacks the wrong target or you do the same, it just allows your fear to potentially not break. So it just gives you that chance for your fear effect to not break. So really, really solid. And obviously, if you dot multiple targets and you want instant CC off, then it works like a charm. Well, not instant CC, but you know what I mean. If you want to fear a target and they have dots on them, there's less chance of that fear actually breaking, which is nice. And then I would actually probably say that the next one would be Foul Clarity. Foul Clarity is really, really good because right now, your summon demons, spells and everything, right? If you want to get your Foul Hunter out or your Succubus or something, right? You can't do that instantly. So there's a long cast time. It takes forever, right? Literally. You use your summon spell, look how long it's taken. And you just get interrupted on that. But if you play Foul Dominations on a 3-minute cooldown, you can use it. And then it allows you to get your pet out a lot quicker. You can still be interrupted though. And what Foul Clarity does, it just reduces the cooldown of Foul Domination from like a 3-minute cooldown to essentially like a 2-minute cooldown, right? 66 seconds minus that it reduces like the cooldown. So really, really good. And Demonic Momentum, I know some people play this. You could definitely play it if like Night Fae because you have Soul Shape. So it just gives you like extra like utility in a sense because it gives you extra mobility, because you can gain the movement speed and get around faster. It's quite nice, especially, I guess, if you're against monks, because you can put your portal down, and then it actually gives you the movement speed. So if you're in an arena and a monk is constantly putting their portal where your portal is, you could use this and potentially get away from their monk or something who's just training you the whole game. But it's up to you. I really just like playing Shade of Terror, if I'm completely honest. I only have one finesse slot that I use here. So I always choose Shade of Terror, but I can see certain circumstances where you change it up for like Demonic Momentum or Foul Clarity, for example, but it's up to you really. Kilrod's Cunning, you would never play this. Maybe you could do like a funny build in like RBGs where you play with Shadow Rift and, you know, use your Kilrod's Cunning like ability, your Eye of Kilrog, to place your Demonic Circle at points you don't think you could get to without using this ability, but I don't really know. I just don't really see it happening in like rated PvP or anything. And then we'll move on to the last one, Potency Conduits. I really like playing Focus Malnancy, especially paired with Rampant Afflictions, because obviously Rampant Afflictions allows you to get 3 UAs off instead of the 1. And then basically what Focus Malnancy does is Malfric Rapture deals 13% increased damage to targets suffering from your UA. Very, very strong. I always play that. Next one is Rolling Agony. Duration of your agony is increased by 7.2 seconds. Really nice if you play Writhen Agony 2. However, I don't. But just in general, I think it's really nice because, you know, if your agony's up for longer, you can then potentially, well, you deal more damage, but you can also potentially gain more soul shards. So very, very nice. And then the last one I always play, is Withering Bolt. And what this does is your Shadow Bolt deals 18% increased damage per dot you have active on the target. It's actually quite strong because if you play Decimating Bolt, your next 3 Shadow Bolts damage is increased by 100%. So it actually just makes your Shadow Bolt deal quite a lot of damage. Sure, right, you kind of don't want to be sat there hard casting Shadow Bolt because you just get locked out and then you can't use any abilities. However, as Necrolord, it kind of pairs well with Decimating Bolt, so that's why I use it. But if you're Night Fae, right, because I keep talking about Night Fae being the best Covenant and everything, if you are Night Fae, I actually think their Conduit, the Night Fae specific one, could probably be the best option, like better option over the Withering Bolt potentially. So I would obviously experiment, but I play Withering Bolt because obviously I'm not Night Fae or anything like that. And I don't really like Corrupted Leer, and I probably wouldn't play Fatal Decimation. So that's it for my Conduits and everything like that. And if I move on to my rotation, guys, I will go and obviously to the target dummies, and yeah, I'll see you in a second. Alright guys, we're at the target dummies right now, and you probably thought that I was in my Covenant Sanctum. Well, we're not. We're in Miss Pandaria in Shrine of the 7 Stars, and I want to talk to you about my rotation, and we're just going to jump straight into it really. So what I like to do is, we're just going to use these 3 targets here. I put Corruption and Agony on everybody, so Corruption and Agony instantly, and then what I do is I use UA on every one of them. And then this is where you might consider putting curses on. So we just use Curse of Weakness, for example. Put that on everybody here. And then for burst damage, right, what you can do, you can put your Phantom Singularity out. Depends when you use your, obviously, your Covenant ability. So it's up to you when you want to use it. I'm Necrolord, so we use Decimating Bolt for that, for the Kevin's Oozling and damage. Dark Soul Misery, Summon the Dark Glare, pop Rapid Contagion, and then your Malfric Rapture spam. Just to note, when this glow effect comes up on your drain life, always press it, because you want to be restarting those stacks for your drain life. So it's pretty simple really. So what I do, Corruption, Agony on all targets first. So if there's a group of people stacked up, you can use Seed Corruption, but we just do this for now. And then you Unstable Affliction on all 3 targets. Make sure you have a curse on all of them. And this is where you pop like your Phantom Singularity, your Covenant ability, depending on what Covenant you are, your Dark Soul Misery, your Dark Glare, your Rapid Contagion. At that point, Drain Life will probably be up, like the stacks, so you use your Drain Life. And then you just constantly use your Malfric Rapture if you have the Soul Shards. So it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. Just make sure your dots don't fall off. If you're playing Sacrilegious Dark Strike, your curses shouldn't fall off, so you shouldn't really need to refresh them unless you want to change what curse you have on the target. Pretty straightforward, really. I use my Trinket, and when paired with my Dark Soul Misery, so that's when I use my Unused Trinket here. If you play Maledict, you can just wait to use that. It's up to you when you use it. But yeah, it's completely up to you there. So I will show you one more time when my cooldowns are back up, and then we will move into races, and then that will conclude today's video. 2 seconds. Alright guys, I'm going to show you my burst one more time. So Corruption, Agony, Corruption, Agony, Corruption, Agony, then I'll put UA on all 3. And then what I do is Decimating Bolt, I can Phantom Singularity, I can pop my Dark Soul and my Trinket, I can pop Dark Glare, I can do Rapid Contagion, and then we Malfric Rapture spam. That's my burst, really. You can do Agony, Corruption, then UA, and then move on to the next target and everything, but I kind of put Corruption and Agony on all 3 first, just so I can get, you know, the Soul Shards from Agony and everything, but it's completely up to you on how you do it, but that's my burst, really. If I move on to races now, guys, I'll quickly go through races from the Alliance and the Horde side, and then obviously that will conclude today's video. If we just move away from this a little bit so we don't really stay in combat. But if I talk about the Alliance first, I have a little notepad up just so I can give you the right information. First race, well, I'll give you 3 from each, alright? So, in no particular order, Human's really strong right now because of their racial will to survive. It's a racial that allows you to get out of any stun effects, like a kidney shot, for example. You can get out of that. Hammer of Justice, you can get out of that. Really nice, and it's on a 3-minute cooldown. So it's good because you can obviously, if you want to, you can drop this Trinket here to get you out of CC effects and everything, and you can play like Brooch or something. Completely up to you. I know some people still like playing Medallion because it allows you to obviously get out of much more effects than Will to Survive does, but I think they share like the same DR. Well, not DR, but if you use your Will to Survive, you got to wait like 30 seconds before you're able to use your Trinket, for example, so just be wary on that. And then Gnome is really strong. I'm Gnome. You have access to obviously Escape Artist, which allows you to get out of any immobilization effects, so you know, Frost Novas, Ice Novas, just anything that you know, Hunter Roots and everything like that. you can use this on a 1 minute cooldown, and it just allows you to get out of those instantly, which is very, very nice. And be nice if you're Night Fae as well as a gnome, because you can use your soul shape and everything. You could use your escape artist, and then you can use your soul shape to get away and stuff. So really, really nice. And then Void Elf. Void Elf is very strong because you have, I'm going to butcher this, Spatial Rift, or whatever it's called. It's basically a teleport that is on a 3 minute cooldown. So again, just giving you more mobility, you can get around a lot faster, and it's very, very good. If I move on to the Horde side though, Orc. Orc is very nice because you have Blood Fury. It's a 2 minute cooldown and increases your intellect, which is your primary stat, for 15 seconds. So it just allows you to get a ton of burst damage off. Really, really solid, and it just pairs really nicely with Dark Soul Misery because they're both on a 2 minute cooldown. So works very, very nicely. And then you have a passive called Hardiness, which is 20% reduction to durations on stuns. So that's also very nice to have in PvP. You then have Undead, because you have Will of the Forsaken. It's a racial that allows you to get out of any charm, fear, or sleep effect, and it's on a 2 minute cooldown. So it's really nice if you get charmed, you know, or feared by like a warlock or a warrior or something, or, you know, slept or something. You can just use that racial to obviously get out of those effects. But as I recall, I think it's the same with like human. If you use that Will of Forsaken, you then have to wait like 30 seconds to use your medallion, so just, or something like that. So just obviously be wary of that. And the last one is Troll. They have a racial called Berserking. It increases your haste by 10%. I'm always like, haste is really good, so that's obviously good. But obviously Orc's really solid too. Increase your haste by 10% for 12 seconds. It's on a 3 minute cooldown, so it's really, really strong for like burst and everything. I think it's pretty cool. And then, as I recall, they have a passive called the Voodoo Shuffle, and it reduces snares on you by 20%. So that's obviously good. If you're Night Fae 2, you can soul shape around, and it just allows you to get away a lot better because you don't get snared as much, if that makes sense, because there's a 20% reduction on that. So it's really, really nice. That's going to conclude today's guide though, guys. I really hope it was useful to some people. It's kind of the same to my last guide, my 9.1 Affliction Warlock PvP guide, but the only thing that's really changed is like Dark Pact and everything like that. A few things have obviously changed, but really hope you enjoyed today's video nonetheless. And obviously, if you did, then make sure you leave a like, comment down below, let me know if this guide was helpful, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. I should hopefully be doing a Demonology Warlock PvP guide and a Destruction Warlock PvP guide, so stay tuned for that. The reason I didn't do like in-game like PvP stuff, like showing you how this build works, is because I've obviously done loads of like Warlock PvP videos on the channel before, and nothing's really changed as much. So obviously go watch all of that stuff if you want to see me play this in PvP and everything like that. And yeah, I just really hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to check out my social media links in the description down below. And I've been Xrathis. I will catch you in the next one. Also, don't forget to click that bell notification to know when I post a new video. But yeah, have a nice day, everyone. Hopefully this guide helped, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. So peace.